A little late night stream. I don't know. My friend Sarah was live earlier and she ended early, so I didn't know what to do. Not that many people that I knew were online, so I'm going live. I'm going live again. But good to see everyone as you guys start tuning in. Like most of the lives, if you're watching this later, hopefully you can just kind of skip around. I'm going to flip comments on, so kind of fielding viewer issues, questions, more questions, right? Right. We don't want to put anyone down there, and so yeah, maybe do a little geopolitics, a little U.S. politics, culture, whatever comes of it, and may the best come of it for you guys. But yeah, my name's Nathan. Online, I go by Duck. The channel is Ducks Y. So appreciate you tuning in. Do double tap the screen if you don't mind. Like, subscribe, all that stuff's super helpful. I think I'll apply for monetization. I'm leaning towards it. I have no other prospects in the world of having money. So we're about 80 hours away as it stands. I don't know if we'll qualify for it because I say bad words and stuff sometimes on stream. So, but yeah, if you guys don't mind liking the stream, that stuff helps the channel grow a little bit if you like the content. Um, yeah, and right now I'm calling the stream maximal boat burning, right? Very blunt into it, kind of whatever. But yeah, maximal boat burning with Donald Trump and Ben Netanyahu all over the world. We're seeing these countries unable to hold ceasefires, and so it's kind of weird to wonder, has geopolitics really gotten this degen? Is it really this bad right now? A lot of people would say it shouldn't look or feel or actually be as bad as it looks. And yet it appears like it is in some ways. It appears actually pretty bad. Um, yeah, it's kind of crazy when you have a ceasefire and then you see countries are still just lobbing missiles at each other and all this other kind of stuff. Um, I would think that American voters are probably fed up with it. Kind of sick of all that whatever. You know, but yeah. Um, yeah, and then it's just kind of weird because Donald Trump's lost his whole cabinet, and still no one's talking about it. Even when we're seeing ceasefires collapse and nothing good happens, right? Nothing good happens after midnight. Um, what up, Mr. Martinez? We got David Martinez in chat. Shout out to everyone who wants to drop in and say hi. If you don't want to comment, chat, whatever, cool. Welcome to you as well. Um, Yeah, and just from the US perspective, it's like, yeah, when the US is filling up the world stage, it's always really crowded. This is an important thing to know in politics. You have to know this wherever you are, is that big countries like the US and China make a lot of noise. There's a lot of moving levers in our economies and military. And so if you can picture, it's kind of like, in Black Friday shopping, you try to go buy like a television or something, and there's 100 people at the door already. It's really difficult to get it. The topic is it is really difficult to get things in and wonder why something is geopolitically significant or why it has to be, all this kind of stuff. Um, and so one of the big criticisms of Donald Trump's policies is, well, Donald Trump is maybe the worst offender in modern history of someone who puts the U.S. First and out front in foreign policy for things that are really not in the national interest. It's not in the national interest to go collect these sort of like scam artist extortion taxes from other countries, in my opinion. I'm obviously like a never MAGA guy. It's not in the US's interest to conduct a war in Iran. It's not in the US interest to kill people floating in the water basically in the Caribbean, more or less. It's also not in the US's interest. Hey, see you, David Martinez. Take care. Have a good one. So there's a lot of reasons why, Donald Trump is allowed. I don't think any of them are good reasons. None of them are good reasons. Yeah, not really. Yeah. Hey, what up, Andrew Collins Beret? Welcome in, welcome in. Welcome in. I've been putting up Aqua Teen Hunger Force on my. I don't have a laptop. I have a Chromebook. It's very cool. but I've been putting up Aqua Teen Hunger Force just on mute on the sidebar here. Oh, you're Filipino? Cool. Cool. From the Philippines. That's cool. Oh, and we got Philippines and we got Mexico in the house. Cool. Blam, 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 blam. That's super cool. I'm a big fan of cosmopolitanism in politics because this is a politics channel, but yeah, just as a person, always cool to have people uh, from uh, from other countries. I never know exactly where someone's from and how to properly greet them, and hopefully everybody's kind of comfortable hanging out for a couple minutes. You know English well, good, good, yeah. If you don't know English, unfortunately, I'm not the guy to help you. But if you speak English well, um, that's great. Welcome to the channel and stream. I hope you enjoy your time here. Um, yeah, yeah. So that's cool. Um, but yeah, I've been to Mexico a few times. Um, Nothing serious. I was supposed to go to Mexico City for a work trip, but it's actually funny. I have a passport card, and it used to be the case you could take the passport cards and do anything with them, but they changed this so you couldn't get on the plane. So yeah. The girl I was living with at that time basically drove me to the airport at like 5 a.m. And so I take the passport to go get on the plane. And yeah, I basically go to check in and they stop me like almost right away. And they say, yeah, you're not going to be able to go to the international term. There's just nothing for you to do there without a passport. So first I actually call my boss and I say, oh crap, I can't get on the plane, right? I can't go to Mexico City with you guys. And it was a big deal, right? I was supposed to be there, but I messed up, and then so I didn't get to go to that one. And then I call the girl back, and she came and picked me up from the airport. Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Hopefully you guys aren't losing too much of your culture, with social media. It's just there's so many American influencers. And it's not just here, right? Reddit's weird because Reddit has like its own online culture. I don't fit in on Reddit. I've gotten banned on an account and I just didn't go back. I don't do well on Reddit. Hey, what's up, Bot Devil? Good to see you. Riveting. Yeah, hell yeah, guys. Yeah. Stick around for a while. We can make this really scary if you want. Horrifying. Um, yeah, and so Reddit's cool, but it is scary going to different social media sites trying to learn how people interact. I got banned from the first Discord I joined too. You know, and like it's weird because I understand the internet. I get it a little bit, but I'm not like super crazy into social media. I love YouTube. It's cool. I've watched a couple Twitch streams, but whatever. Hey, shout out to whoever's emoting and stuff. That's awesome. Welcome to the stream. Appreciate the excitement and the energy. If there's any topics you'd like me to discuss, let me know. Let me know. Welcome to the channel. I've been desperate to help my own mother. Why rock is not a rose, bruv? Rock is not a rose, bruv. I'm desperate to help your own mother. Yeah, cool. Good luck with that. Good luck. Yeah, I mean, with the internet, there's all kinds of information, and I know it may not be that helpful, but it's the advice I tell everyone is that if you don't find exactly the support or help you need right now, hopefully you can, right? Obviously, that's one of those things where, hopefully you get the opportunity you need to support the family and kind of keep the family intact and all that stuff. And then in the other case, other sides of things or whatever it is, other sort of approaches, you get information, and yeah, it's just if you don't have what you need to create the opportunity right now, maybe it's the case that, learning something and then sometime down the road you see something else that maybe you've seen before and it looks different. So good luck to you on that for sure. I wish I had more that I could offer always. Yeah, always direct. Always direct. Cool. Because I keep forgetting to do things that I was supposed to do. Bummer, bro. Bummer, bro. Hearts, hearts and loves, yeah. Hearts and loves, yeah. Lots of love. We got Carl and Master Shake over there. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's always really crazy. I think because I'm a political science major, so when I think of the stories we hear often of other countries, especially with when like Donald Trump is advertising, like not the main parts of a country, but he's advertising just what goes on. It's always so weird because, from my perspective, I think getting closer to how people in the US live in cities versus rural areas versus like the capital, Washington, D.C., big states like California, you know. I live in Arizona, so I've driven up to California a lot of times. Just used to be when I was younger, is just something people would go do. You'd plan 2 or 3 weeks out to go to California, and you just get in your car and drive to California. Actually, my Mexican coworker him and his family used to drive up from like it was like Sinaloa or somewhere in there, Sinaloa State, whatever it was, and um, they would drive up to San Diego and stuff for the day. So they were also driving to California. But yeah, I forgot where that was going from, but that more foundational understanding of like what a country wants to do, how they want to accomplish it, when they want to accomplish it, all that kind of stuff. Super useful, super cool stuff. Because I keep forgetting to do things that I was supposed to do. I already read that comment. What's up, Seven Gator? Seven Gator. Cool. If you have seven Gators, I would probably need at least 8 dudes to, one guy to watch, 7 guys to go get the Gators. If there are vegans, you wouldn't need any guys. Maybe one vegan guy. One vegan or 8 not vegans to go get 7 Gators. It sounds like whatever your topic is, bro. You can choose. You can choose, my dude. Donald Trump, MAGA. Why is MAGA collapsing? How large is the dumpster fire at this point in time? Oh, yeah. Hizzle's the kind of guy you'd want around a gator, too. I'm guessing he would handle the gator in the way that, you would be fitting in terms of whether it's a vegan approach or a not vegan approach, but he'd also probably have, given the statement, some thoughts about it. I would just imagine. Israel, wow. Yeah, Israel has announced, so the optimistic point is Israel's announced talks, Hezbollah and Lebanon. So since the start of the Iranian conflict, 600 people have died. Iran has signaled, maybe more than that now, Iran has signaled that one of the reasons Iran is still attacking Lebanon or into Israel, every place else, where else are they launching missiles? UAE, whoever it is. So anywhere that, not Saudi Arabia, not yeah, but everywhere Iran is attacking, they're saying, well, yeah, part of this is because we don't want to see like a massacre, whether it's like a de-Baathification or something. Like, nobody said this was a political objective at this time, for this reason. And it's, you have known about Hezbollah in this state for, right? Hezbollah is obviously a miserable government system, but, and I'm sure you could talk about the many reasons why that is, right? I mean, how many poorly administered Islamic schools does Hezbollah have right now? What do they spend their money on? So, but anyways, even with all that, because I'm nonviolent, I think it's more important to address the social status and political issues and platform. And so Iran has a fair point that, yeah, a de-Baathification style or genocidal style sort of conflict against Hezbollah is something they don't want to, as one of the Islamic leaders in the region. Even though the Lebanese aren't really Arab, and neither is the Iranians for that matter. But yeah, it just comes to be the case. And so thoughts on Israel right now. Israel has announced that they're going to be talking to Hezbollah, working with intermediaries, maybe both, maybe one and not the other, just both, not the other one, whatever. And so hopefully we'll see another ceasefire. Hopefully this also removes some of the friction and tensions to help ultimately getting back to a proper ceasefire and political process, again, with Palestine as well. And it creates the pathway towards success for the negotiation about the Strait of Hormuz, and back into the Donald Trump removing U.S. aggression and force, in my opinion, no war with Iran. So, hey, what's up? We got, UG in the house. We got Doombase. Good to see everybody. Oh, cool, UG. Yeah, huge blessings to you in your meeting. Hopefully, it's mutually beneficial, informative, all that kind of stuff, dude. Great outcome for you as well. Hopefully, some monetary success or whatever it is. Good luck to you. Good luck. It was set up. Seven Gator says it was set up for October 7th to happen, so he could justify the war now. Yeah. Maybe that would be a very sweeping conspiracy. That would be a very large scale. If they just wanted to say we want to introduce aggression and this is going to happen about the time the Syrian civil war settles, as soon as there's no longer a cause for Russia to be immediately engaged, and so you have, this is where the conspiratorial thinking perhaps comes in handy to ultimately understand something more simply, is the way I'd say it. But it's also useful to sort of think about what someone might try to do or say. I truthfully believe that you just ended up, after 20 years of Hamas, who have very closely associated with militant Islamist groups, right? These ideological militaries in Palestine, militias. At some point you get a bad enough climate and you have a very horrible attack that was well planned out. It appeared like it was part of some sort of political negotiation, directly tied to someone who spent time in Israeli prisons. Very horrible thing. Something that I think Palestinians felt was without reprieve. And so, yeah, that's an understandable feeling and sentiment. And they felt that it was this time to create a game or some sort of scenario that leveraged the depth of Palestinian militant capabilities at this time, or their, and so, they felt it was too long where they couldn't get up a narrative or something like this. Who knows? And none of these conversations happened geopolitically after October 7th. Largely ran by, I would say, the far left media, largely ran by the far right media, both really bad at doing discussion things. What's going on, Lord Christ? 50 shekels for all you wonderful goys. Yeah, shout out to you, and never mind these facts as well, of course. Yeah. Blessings to you if you're in Israel or you're living in diaspora as well. Then hopefully blessings to you. Whatever it is. Netanyahu approved Iranian delivery for the weapons over the border before October 7th. What? This is a known thing. That would be very loud. That'd be a dumb conspiracy theory to know that. Someone was talking about cyber weapons and stuff before earlier too. He knew it was the Palestinians' resistance. He may not have known about the exact attack, but he knew about the festival. Yeah, I was talking about cyber weapons earlier today. So, you see whatever it is, these punctuated attacks on either infrastructure or culture, where, that's basically what terrorism is. It's also what cyber attacks are. It's also what policing actions and kinetic strikes do. Drone strikes. These are all ways to instill fear in a population. That's one of the costs, right? If you're the person actually executing that strategy, you wouldn't say that's the point. You hopefully don't, but it certainly is a cost to doing that. Because it's usually the case. This was Obama's drone program. So, apologies from the United States, but Obama's drone program, in theory, was targeting specific individuals. And so if you had a list of 50 names, maybe you would blow up 30 or 35 of them. You would do so in a way that people knew it. And you would kill probably no more than hopefully 45 or 50 people. You would have some guesstimate there. And so you basically make that choice that these assassination campaigns have collateral damage. But because of the distributed nature of non-state groups, of these terror organizations, at the at the end of the day, the loss of life you said was acceptable. Right? That's not a pacifist or nonviolence position. It doesn't seem to comport to moral philosophy. It seems to be geopolitics. It seems to be geopolitics and just security studies, right? Security studies acting. And yeah, the hope is that the goal is, of course, that you create a barrier from politicized militias. Evidence of this is, of course, Iraq is the best example, where you still have many militias operating in Iraq. There are not U.S. drone strikes in Iraq today. This doesn't, of course, excuse the innocent loss of life, but it probably does put you closer into the room of what those conversations are like and what the world is like to these people who decide to kill people. Right? These are killers. You're talking about the most dangerous people in the world. You're talking about killers. Killers who have a military budget. And this is the same thing for Islamic militant groups, right? If you have funding, you hire people to go be killers, right? Or you're collecting money and doing bureaucracy to go be a killer. So these are very dangerous people all around. 79 Palestinians dead, 1,500 Israelis dead. Yeah, urban combat scenario, urban combat, right? And so Israel probably knew about the number of deaths they'd get from small arms, from air campaigns, one-off missile strikes and things like this. Very sad, and there was this public pick as Palestine we watched it being leveled. There was this public sort of campaign of showing Israelis next to the action, right? This is urban combat, but this is Israel and Palestine, right? And we've got, just like any other war, we have body cameras, we have surveillance, we are doing investigations, right? And we are telling people where the combat is happening. And so you basically create this big picture. Some of it maybe is true from the military perspective, but nobody else actually thinks that way. And so when that comes first, you just, to me, you wondered when leaders in either state asked about what a society needs to be like to avoid the conflict. Hey, what's going on, Grant and Linnell Aubrey? I'm going to go through some comments. I'm just catching up a little bit. Welcome, Dennis as well. Everybody who's tuning in. Thanks. My name's Nathan. I go by Duck Online. The channel's Ducks Y. Welcome. Yeah, conspiracies are typically small scope. This is one way of thinking about them is that, if you imagine a conspiracy theory to, let's just say, I hope I can say it, maybe you're trying to graffiti a bridge. We'll say graffiti a bridge or something like this versus graffitiing the side of a building or something like this. And so if you have a group that's planning to graffiti a bridge, you would imagine it would be a group of people. You would have a specific date, a specific way to get like spray paint or something like that. And that is, your misfit campaign would run that way, right? They would never see you coming. But when you think about like, oh, well, we're going to paint half a city, and you start talking about those same questions that makes a conspiracy effective, they do get much larger. They get much larger. And so this is one of the ways to sort of illustrate, I think, for people that like most conspiracy theories are wrong. Take Jeff Epstein. If you guys know the Epstein files, Jeff Epstein was a very dumb guy who met with an Israeli diplomat, an Israeli representative of the state. And so maybe it's the case that Jeff Epstein hurt himself. Maybe it's the case that was assisted and augmented or encouraged in some way. Those are all possibilities. But why does that conspiracy make sense for people? And it's actually like, you can just accept it. Even he didn't get his day in court. There's a lot of stuff, a loss of life, but it makes sense because it's very small and believable. Dumb guy does a dumb thing, meets with the wrong dumb people, and he does something dumb. But when you start getting bigger things and you're talking about, well, these weapon shipments, these are a conspiracy. No, it's not, right? That's a military operation. If you're planning on giving someone 10,000 missiles, that's a military operation, right? That's intelligence. It's intelligence and something extra, right? because you don't have CIA spies, you don't have KGB, you don't have IRGC spies driving around trucks to go deliver missiles to people. That doesn't make any sense. So very factual here. Grant says the issue with MAGA brain rot, more like isn't it? Is not the overactive fight or flight response. It's the lack of critical thinking to counter the overactive fight or flight response that makes MAGA fascist. Yeah, they're taking too big a bites. That's a great point, Grant. I don't think it's possible to look at 15 different news stories about 15 different countries and ask, what does MAGA think about this? Yeah, what does MAGA think about if the Saudis sent out 6 different important titles to the United States to visit the White House to see Donald Trump, and this was after they had announced their intention to become involved if more missiles fell in the Saudi Arabian airspace. And this is related as well to the number of troop positions and bases and Saudi's very lucrative deal with China, as well as all the other places Saudi ships oil. So MAGA, what do you think about this? What is Donald Trump's view of making America great again relating to Saudi Arabia here, right? It's not a trick question. There are people whose job is to answer that. And so when you ask about critical thinking, where this came from, where it's supposed to go, yeah, it's too big of a bite, I think. I don't think it makes sense to say that like people like Charlie Kirk or Cam Higby are illogical. They're not illogical, but it's just there's more you need to know in order to get all of that up. For decades, the United States wanted to free the world of Russia's intentions. For decades, the United States carried out those very intentions itself. Yeah, possibly. Russia's had a hard go on the international stage, as unjust as international law is, and I may not be understanding all of this. The UN's been a very not a very helpful force in some or many ways for Russia. The IMF's not been helpful for Russia. And the fact that the major economic force is still sanctions from the US and Europe has not been helpful for Russia. And so accept all this, as well as the fact that, we had Dick Nixon stealing the White House, and we had Jimmy Carter. You guys did have a Joseph Stalin, right? You had a Joseph Stalin, and then if you want to say Mikhail Gorbachev or whoever it is, whatever their names are, that's you guys. But yeah, you guys had your guys running your systems and stuff too. And so you guys had Stalin and these guys, and we had our guys. And so, and the systems that they managed and the many people that produce those systems are part of that equation as well, right? So that's where the world is. Duck, what's good, bro? Hey, what's up, J Money? What's up? Did I skip someone? I thought I saw someone else. Oh, Linnell Aubrey, I don't know if you're still here. Yeah, America. We're talking about America still, definitely. I always want to only talk about America and the United States. Just kidding. Oh, snap. There's a bunch of comments. Hey, what's up? Everyone who's watching, welcome. If you're saying hi in chat, welcome to you as well. I'm gonna try to respond to some of these comments. Iranian state media says the negotiating team has failed to leave Iran for Pakistan and refuses to do so until there's a ceasefire in Lebanon. Yep. Yeah. I'm currently blaming the United States for this, so yeah. Why else would that be? Just a very silly sort of thing. Yeah, Donald Trump's basically saying that the price of oil is now the big problem, right? That's not a political or military objective that existed before. So Christian countries have been destroying the world since forever, and yet people are still talking about Islamic groups. Yeah, it's a fair point. If you don't understand Islamic society or the Arab world, probably don't talk about it. Also, if you don't understand Christendom or liberal societies, don't talk about it. Go learn about it. Go ask a question instead. I think the Shahada is a beautiful way to start a conversation about Islam. And yeah, you will get as far as a person takes it into Sharia government. And for me, yeah, it's cool. It's enough to maybe have a diplomatic talk with a country like Iran and the scale of geopolitics, but it doesn't get me that much further. But okay, cool. There you go. That's what that was. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Let's go. Let's go do it now. Allowing the far-right fascist extremists to run the office, blah, 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 blah. I probably generally agree. I'm so sick of fascism. I'm so sick of far-left collectivism. It's like, yeah, if you guys want Zoran Mamdani, cool, but leave me alone. Leave me alone for a week, guys. Make me a fixie bicycle at your co-op or whatever, titanium bike. Oh, boo, boo, boo. Watch, everybody leaves the stream whenever this happens. Give me my far-right politics. I can't help it anymore. Give me my socialism. Socialism is so interesting to argue about, but it's like where I like in the actual world, where's a socialist politician that is running and doing it right? Right? Zoran Mamdani, now that he's elected, has his policy platform, but it's not really like this some deep philosophical cut of socialism either, right? You're not going to like him if you're a Republican or a conservative. But for me, as a progressive Democrat, I see them and it's like, okay, cool. Yeah, don't go further, buddy. Don't go further. I'm cheering for you. There's no evidence against the evidence against Epstein was from physical locations. Yeah, you had these FBI agents take the surface level approach to this case. Bless Jerusalem. Yeah, it's so weird, right? You get 6 girls who talk about or however many talking about how many more girls and whatever, all the other BS, and then yeah, whatever. Iran's been meddled with by the West for over 100 years. Yeah. Yeah. These are some really good comments, guys. Thanks for keeping chat up. Thanks for keeping chat alive a little bit. Will the next president also be a felon? Who knows, Pete? I would think maybe Pete Buttigieg, maybe Kamala Harris are both great choices. Pete has large-scale management consulting experience. He's got experience in the executive via a Department of Transportation secretary. Kamala was a great whip, so if there's a policy focus, Kamala Harris is probably going to be one of the best. She's also very grounded on social justice issues, and she's also kind of a hard ass. And so I think Kamala Harris would be a great next president. I would love to see a full Kamala Harris Bernie Sanders debate. That would be exciting from like a political discourse perspective, but who knows? Yeah, and we'll see. We'll see who's actually leading the country at that point in time. We'll see. Yeah, J Money, enjoy the stream. Enjoy the stream. I'm maybe not going to say anything earth shattering or something that is super brand new. But I sincerely hope that there's a little bit of, at least sometimes, a little context that we can add back into kind of the core debate. There's a big change up ahead. I want to be the one that's in front of it. We're not going to like Mamdani because it's a socialist communist with no idea what he's doing. Rubio 2028. Oh, you got to be kidding me, dude. Marco Rubio hasn't said an honest word the entire time he's been in Congress. That's the crazy part. You can say that guys like Charlie Kirk and Marco Rubio, if you put them next to each other, you can either say they're so dumb that they've never told the truth. You can say they're so dumb they've never said something that's accurate. Right? Their stump speeches are not fuckable. Pardon the French. You can see those guys, and I apologize for that. If you disagree, you're part of MAGA, you can let me know why. But yeah, don't say an honest word. You can go talk about what you're doing, but that's cool. I've got eyeballs. I've got ears. I can go see what you're doing. Ain't that complicated, buddy. Ain't that hard at that one. And so, it's just always the funny banana for scale when they talk about things like Latin America. And it's like, oh, well, you're talking about an entire continent of people. And so when people like Kamala Harris say this, she either doesn't get press coverage because you shouldn't need to remind people condescendingly Latin America is a continent. You have Central America, also very large. In the big scheme of things, Latin America is very large. Not too large for the U.S. to make a contribution or influence it because the U.S. is much larger, but so it goes. So it goes in the big scale of the world. Who knows? Roll Tide. I'd say roll Alabama for us. Alabama for us. MAGA hates Iran because this is pretty tings, his complete more campaign promise in 4 months than Trump has. Yeah, Trump did campaign promises. There's no, there's not a single person who's part of MAGA who has better political prospects as a result. That should be pretty telling. And when you actually look at the state of the states, right, you've got guys like new DHS guy who's getting out of Oklahoma. Oklahoma's been not secure, not it or in shambles for some time now, right? So he's an inept leader. He can't even maintain a ceasefire. That's how dumb you are, right? That's like in geopolitics terms, that's how stupid you are. That's how stupid you are is when you're in a war that nobody wants to fight and you can't even get a correct ceasefire done. That's how bad the policy's going. That's how bad it's going. Is that political discourse? There's a lot more to talk about. There's something else that we could say about how dumb it is or how dumb it is, right? Same science that shows the lack of critical thinking to counter the overactive fight or fight response to MAGA is also proof that there's no such thing as far left radicals. Not a thing. I disagree. I do think that there are people with radical political, there's ideologically driven voters and policy advocates on the political left, collective ideologies, and so there's people that, irrespective of what's going on, want to push a far left agenda into the United States, irrespective of where it goes. So I do think things like universal healthcare sound great. I think that we'll go back to a discussion about market-based reforms from Obamacare, bringing it down back to the layer of health. That's got to suck for a lot of people still. I get that. And I get how it should just in theory make sense anywhere. But so do a lot of other things, right? Go talk about the country bumpkin healthcare plan, Yeah. Go talk about the Yakoma, Washington healthcare plan. They probably love their doctors and oncologists, but they probably don't have I'm guessing you would meet some people who don't care that much. Hey, Zigzag. Yeah, or travel the world, right? Zigzag conquered the world. It sounds like you've already, if you guys see, I'll pin this up real quick. But yeah, Zigzag, if you've already done that, you've conquered the world. And so start learning chess, right? Rest in peace. Go watch old Daniel Naroditsky videos or go play Risk or Halo or something. I don't know. Arc Raiders, right? Arc Raiders is the big one right now. Mamdani is a mayor. Can you be president? Oh, shush. Hey, Crisis Cycle. I think I've seen you before. I'm really bad at names and PFPs, but I try to remember. Oh, we got JR. What up? What up, JR? Good to see you. Shout out. High five. Me and JR bump into each other on really cool streams. Yeah, no offense. Definitely like first person shooter streams. Debates. They're usually streams where they're showing animals fighting and stuff like that. So shout out JR. Yeah, he was in charge of the DOT during a plane and train crash. Ha ha ha. Was he? I thought that was when Trump was detransing the glands. Wasn't that the glands, the trans era for Donald Trump? He wanted more war fighters. Get it all up, boys. If you guys have any warfighter related questions, don't ask me, but feel free to ask if you want. Find a good question though, warfighters. De-glands the glands, bro. Sexual liberation now. Please go back and read it correctly. I never said he. Whoops. Oops. I can't look at. Oh, can I see? I don't know if you were talking to me, but answer this. Who negotiated the ceasefire? I don't fucking know. If you're the president and it's your police action, you should be the one who's able to. I don't care who negotiated it. What does that have to do with anything? What? Why would that be important? So suddenly you're basically saying that there's no ceasefire then. It's that's a very silly perspective when there's such a thing as a ceasefire. And you got to go a little higher and maybe a little lower as to why that is. Wolf Pred. Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah. Yeah, guys. just as you guys are tuning in as well, we are an agnostic political channel. I'm open and transparent about my own political beliefs. We're also LGBTQIA plus friendly. Um, and yeah. So whatever you're into or whatever, cool. Welcome to the show. You can ask me your culture questions and stuff too. Heck yeah. Both political parties are controlled by owners. We are mostly workers and consumers. Political parties will accept the NWO. Yeah, that's a crazy one. That's a really crazy one, right? People get scared and nervous. It's kind of like there's this, for the New World Order conspiracy stuff, there's kind of like this zip seal on it, right? And so when you turn the bag upside down, you always hear the clinking and shaking of what the powers that be, the big banking systems are doing, you know, all of this scary stuff, all the stuff that's like rushing around over your head, making all this noise, zipped shut, and then it just sprinkles down a little bit, right? And so, if we put Donald Trump in this narrative, he said, well, go buy coal, right? Go buy big oil, right? Keep the bastions and buttresses to the side so you never understand what's happening. So you never learn, right? You don't have to know political science. You don't have to know religions. You don't have to know trade and shipping. You don't have to see when that stuff is actually kind of messed up, or yeah, somebody's exerting force or pressure and you're like, how did that happen? That's weird. That's not any country in the world that's doing that. Where does that come from? You know? Yeah, so yeah, J Money says Kamala is fine. I'll go ahead and replace this pen message. J Money's a good dude. Kamala is fine AF. I saw her wax museum statue and can only imagine the real thing. Yeah. I as well, J Money. Yeah. Kamala Harris is beautiful. I did a short not pertaining to her intellectual modesty and beauty, because she was a lawyer. I think she was like law teacher caliber lawyer, if I recall correctly. And so I responded to one of her shorts recently, and not her shorts, not her socks, but a short on YouTube. So that's in my shorts. Welcome to the stream, everybody that's here that's saying hi in chat. If you guys want, please do like the stream. If you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to try to go live a little bit more often. If you guys like live streams, cool. I don't get what's going on in like YouTube videos. My algorithm, other than gaming, my algorithm has been absolute cheeks. Cheeks, I think the kids say. It has not been very good. Yeah, the best video, I just subscribed to Sasha Gray's gaming channel, and the best video I've gotten in my feed in like the last month is like Sasha Gray's like third Arc Raiders game or something like that. I don't know what it was, but like that's how bad it is, right? And I'm not even that big of a gaming fan. People who complain about far left are merely in the middle and incapable of understanding what y'all call far left. In fact, more left wing, the more sane the individual is. Fact. Cool. Yeah, Grant Johnson, sounds like you're holding it down. It sounds like you have a very based and grounded opinion. However, I think that my supposition would be that as you start adding ingredients back into the mix, you would find it would become increasingly difficult to preserve that position. I think maybe you wouldn't. I don't mean to be domineering. We're on YouTube vertical right now, but that's how I'd say it. I don't think you're going to help people living in a trailer park right now. Hey, I ain't a troll the trone. I ain't a troll at all. This guy's calling successful people dumb is funny. What successful people have I called dumb? You guys want me to say it a different way? What kind of way do you want me to say it? Kamala's Monty Williams side piece. I don't any Republican or Democrats in office, both corrupt. Dude, I'm Canadian. Liberalism is ruining our country. Same equivalent of Democrats. Yeah, cool. The world of ideology. Oregon rules. Hey, what's up, Rick Berry? Yeah, First Lady Melania. Yeah, I think Melania more than anything has been increasingly tone deaf. I'm sure she has, just like every other First Lady, she probably has very sort of humanitarian leaning sort of biases, goals, proclivities, whatever she wants to accomplish. Yeah, but the president in the White House, the man she's standing next to is an inept psychopathic leader. He's a murderer, right? That's who she's standing next to. And so, while we were blowing up, these little Venezuelan fishing boats, we're blowing up fishermen. You know, we're dropping bombs, we're committing war crimes, and she's having kids trick or treating at the White House. So cool, Okay, so that's done. That's done, not forgotten. Like whatever. It's not that big of a memory, but that is a memory. That's quite the memory. That's quite the memory to have. Pete Heinrich Himmler Hegseth will face Nuremberg trials of his own. Yeah, Pete Hegseth is pretty bad. He's firing all the Biden era appointees. He's firing people who have been in the military for a while. And so, yeah, I don't know what people would make of it, but what are you going to get back out of it? You're going to get email after email after email after email after email. Go manage it, warfighter. We're going to keep it really simple for everybody. What's your job? Your job's to get in the hot helicopter and get shot down. Guess what? The ones that don't get shot down, what's your job? What are you going to be doing? I don't care. Not my responsibility anymore. I'm a YouTuber now. I don't give a shit. It never was my responsibility. I should have cared, but hey, nice job, Corn. 5-time draft dodger. Official. Hey, guys, I was just wanted to ask you see any problems with Israel having free universal healthcare? Hey, great copy. I think I got that comment yesterday. I appreciate it. I'll go for it. I do believe that, what was it? The West Bank's got better healthcare than a lot of the other, they did, than a lot of the other places. We're also seeing hospitals getting bombed in Sudan. And so taking that health layer, it's always the case that family health, women's health, kids having access to health treatment, primary care doctors, as well as emergency treatments is really huge. That's why even poor countries like Cuba have good healthcare systems. I got to scroll down and skip down because you guys are outpacing me. Thanks again, everybody, for the high quality comments. Appreciate you all. The countries, evangelicals need to be stopped. Hey, that's a good comment. That's interesting. I can talk about that one for a little bit. Yeah, I think in the United States, evangelicals blending evangelical faiths blending with politics is something to be aware of for sure. It's something to be aware of for sure, and there's many reasons. Part of it is that like deep Christian states who have also historically often been deep red states have historically also had the longest standing problems with racism. And that's not spurious, right? If you've got a black 14-year-old or something, or you have an indigenous 14-year-old, what kind of sinner is this? What kind of, Trayvon Martin wasn't that long ago. Obviously Florida is still the dirty South, the dirty, dirty South. And so I think that's interesting to have a discourse, apologetics, debates, counter apologetics on the online spheres. I also think it's very incredibly important to be honest about what evangelical Christians actually advocate for. How often and when do you know what God is thinking or what he says? How does that actually relate to politics? I got to talk on an Eastern Orthodox stream. There were like 800 people in the audience earlier today. So that's really fun. I love doing those large panels because I like speaking in front of people. So yeah, there's this, not all Eastern Orthodox, lots of different people, but 800 people in this audience. And one of the things that came up a little bit was, well, how do you know when your religion and your epistemology, just your epistemology, actually relates back to politics? Right? Because they don't say in the Bible when you actually vote. And in the Bible, how do you know what you know? Well, you know because Jesus died for your sins, and because there's a creation story, a middle period of time, and then there's the end times, right? So you have these periods of time, and you've got Jesus and God's love in there somewhere, and people. But there's nothing about those Christian values that relate to politics. And so you have a different epistemology about your worldview, a different way you know something. You take that knowledge and exert it out into the world in a more pronounced way. You know that in a different sense. So same goes for Islam. You can accept the Shahada. And after that, you can say, well, it says Sharia law, but we know there's really only about, if you live in a small city, there's 4 Sharia law guys. The rest of you guys need to know that Islamic law is there, but you're not doing Islamic. How are you doing Islamic law? And so it's a very clear example for Christians as well about keep your faith out of politics. We're a secular society. We all get to vote on our values. One of your values isn't the Bible. It comes from the Bible, so don't BS a BSer. Don't lie to me. I know what that is. And then, yeah, let's have great discussions and be educated and aware, knowledgeable, and tolerant. And yeah, tell me what I don't know. Tell me what I'm not doing right. And why don't you tell me what I should be doing for my family that you're doing for yours that's working well for you? Let me know. Let me know in the comments, folks. I'd be excited to hear it for the first time ever. It's been attempted, and yet I haven't heard it yet. So, surprise, surprise. Secular humanist parent, right? Exactly, that's me. I'm a secular humanist now. I'm not a 36-year-old guy. I'm a secular humanist. In Canada, my uncle had to wait for screening cancer and died away. F Canada's healthcare system. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry to hear about that. Yeah, from the doctors that I've known and talked to, obviously this just the sort of political approach to that type of question, sympathies extended, is that there's a lot of different ways that sort of oncology and cancer treatment happen. It can range from 20 years of having personalized medicines and treatment with diagnostics, monitoring, follow-up appointments, sort of adjacent issues that, symptom management, all kinds of stuff as far as I know. And so, yeah, those are always great processes to invest in, as well as understand the sort of the payer systems, the access to those things. Yeah. Obeying God is, I can't imagine putting up a, like a GoFundMe in Canada for like, $70,000 or $150,000 in chemo or something like that. That'd be crazy. Is it? I forgot. It's either Canada or UK where they don't have private doctors. I always forget that one. Hey, what's up? That's a really sick PFP, Jay. Trump doesn't even notice the MAGA fans. Seriously, when there is the last time fell on Trump, he even made a video directed towards his fans. He never even looks at the camera when talking. Yeah, he never looks at the camera while talking. Yeah. He's always in his sort of management social mode, It's not truth social, it's perception management social. So, Donald Trump's perfectly happy to lie so he can tell the truth to 10% of people that will, I don't know, hear what you want to hear, right? Maybe it's not that mysterious, but I think it's not that great. I'm not that big of a fan. It's unconsiderable. It's inconsiderable. What makes you feel better, buddy? Whatever makes you feel better. What makes you feel better, buddy? Yeah, whatever makes you feel better. That's all cool. Miss Love, so is the Democratic Party. Cool. Canada's universal healthcare. Oh, cool. Yeah, that's interesting point. Good point, everyone. Good point. Good point. Good idea and point. Yeah, you have better systems that are available and out there, and so why? What are the causes of that? Those aren't issues that people talk about all the time. Who knows? I don't know. Not enough good comedy. Not enough good comedy. No stand-up comedy. There's no stand-up comedy anymore. We decided that we could put body cam footage and auditors online, and so instead of watching guys like Louis C.K. who like wanking it in front of people, that wasn't great. But you can go watch body cams too. You just have to find the weirdest guy to go do it. Who knows? Yeah, but Louis C.K. was very popular. He jerked it in front of girls for about 20 years, and did good comedy for about 25 years. Hey, thanks, Saibao 578. Saibao. I like when you guys say nice things to me, but I also am a huge narcissist, so I got Tresume in my hair right now. I was practicing my ASMR stuff earlier for one of my friend's shows. Welcome to Ducks Y. And I don't know how to say this, but if you ask why here, you might just get a little attention. And don't mind the ducks. We're all just ducks. That stuff's very funny to me. I gotta keep Project Hail Mary. It does look pretty good. If I let you go, dirty South. Dirty South. Welcome to the Church of Social Media, folks. So today, in social media, Destiny debates Flat Earth and MAGA. Tomorrow, Destiny debates MAGA and Flat Earth, folks. I'm just kidding. Love the fam. If I let you go, would you say you love me? Nothing was cherry-picked. I think the best debate in politics right now is, sadly, it's like wheeling everything back around. This is my take. Is that all of the ill-gotten gains during Donald Trump's presidency are building systems the wrong way. And it's not just building systems the wrong way, but it's our ideation about them. Right? So I think it's a holistic thing. It's truly the case that when our militaries are not poised to enforce peace and freedom around the world, and instead the criticism which I saw levied by, I think it was it Pakistan, was that who was it? Somebody said that it's diplomacy. It was the Pope. It was Pope Leo. For any Catholics in the chat or former Catholics, Pope Leo said that diplomacy through force and like a bias towards war and conflict, isn't, it's not part of the church's teachings. It's not desirable, he just said, right? The guy went straight out there and said that. And so Donald Trump is trying to start up Catholic conspiracy theories again, right? This is just the state of the world. It's one example is when it's more expedient and accessible, it's easy to put in place the new Jim Crow with the Catholics when it's helpful, or do it with the evangelicals, right? Just wait a couple of years before you get back to the blacks. Wait a couple of years before you really get the gays under it again. This is what it sounds like to a lot of people, that you're bringing back these old forms of rhetoric. And why? Why? It's because you have a president who cannot keep his mouth shut. You have a president who's not equipped to lead, and he couldn't just shut up. And it's not just him, right? The most dangerous person in the cabinet is probably Marco Rubio and Pete Hegseth. These two guys are absolute idiots. You give Kristi Noem a credit card and she goes and spends all of the money. She spends all of the money. She basically says that we are going to train not 100,000 people or whatever the number is in the US to lock people up like animals after roping them, basically. And this is the will of the American people. This is what happens in a democracy. Why Marco Rubio? Very simple, because a small-time politician from Florida, who is a science denier, goes out and conducts diplomacy in the Middle East, or in lots of places, right? Not only this, but Donald Trump signaled very early on that Marco Rubio would need help in the UN, right? We had these different appointees all over the place. Tiny Marco couldn't even do Donald Trump's job that Donald Trump assigned to him, whatever it was. And so, very dangerous politician, because he's so inept, because he lacks curiosity, and he lacks vision. He's blind, deaf, and dumb. He's blind, deaf, and dumb. Yeah, we should send Jack Talcott to Washington again. Hey, what's up, Ray Rich 23? You look just like a feller I knew once. My name's Nathan in real life, so maybe I did know you. I'm quite the feller. Good to see you as well, feller. My name's Nate or Nathan in real life. I go by Duck Online. Oh, lazy eye. Which eye's lazy? Where? How? When? I'm not tired. I'm exhausted. I'm not exhausted. Just laying down. To call it a nap, you would have needed probably at least 20 minutes of shut-eye. I don't think that's lazy. Republicans are so clueless, LOL. Okay, cool. It seems like a funny joke, too. Yeah. If I let you down. Nice. All right. Well, I'm going to go back to doing my things. I'm going to read some comments. Welcome, everybody, to the stream. Welcome, everyone. Chat, you guys have been awesome. Really interesting comments and stuff for me to either read and kind of you guys are talking to each other. That's really cool. I like being the star of the show. I like even better when you guys are. But while you're here, if you want to hit the like button, subscribe. I'm going to be doing these live stream type deals. If you check my page, I've got a humble 500 or so videos posted, and yeah. So whatever you think that is, we've got about 1,090 subscribers. So thank you everyone who has already subscribed to Ducks Y. Yeah, and I think it's a good thing. Just very short channel note. It's taken a long time to get here. I'd like to thank the Academy. I'd like to thank YouTube, obviously Google, Mark Zuckerberg, all these folks. Really great work. And yeah, every stream we have makes the channel a little better. So it's both my privilege as well as my honor to tell you guys how to live your life about 20 minutes at a time. Very important stuff from my perspective. Very important. This is the one thing people don't understand too. I'll just share this. I don't mean to be condescending, but while we're talking politics, you don't always get to choose what car you go in on. What car you go in on, what system you go in on. It's always nice when everybody's working together. And yeah, there is a holistic way to do that. That exists somewhere in the world. But if you're curled up in a ball, good. I'm a good Glurpston man, right? I'm Christian. I'm a Gersten man. I got 10 guys. I got 15 guys in my family. I'm American. And I'm going out like this, I don't get to choose to be a Glurpston man, going out in a, Vanta Black Lamborghini. My cousin from Louisiana, he might got a black Lamborghini, Range Rover type guy. But if I ain't got a Range Rover, I'm going out like this. I'm like a folding chair. Yeah, and so that's just, I think Marco Rubio showing up to Latin America, like, there's some globalized American platform that's going to produce benefits and values. That's one way of saying that. It's like, no, because Latin America is actually deeply aligned with BRICS and like the African Union, right? We see these very core manufacturing agricultural platforms, and you know what's happening now and what's happening next. And so you say, well, okay, we probably know that that bulk isn't coming to us right now this second. However, you can just, put your finger up to the wind a little bit. Might be disgusting for some people, but one should be a wayfinder, I would imagine. I would imagine that's a deeply beneficial task as well as a service to possess. He's Cubano. You guys know Buena Vista Social Club? That's a cool band. I used to listen to them. I got a Buena Vista Social Club CD was one of the last Christmas presents my parents got me. I was that this would be 17. I think when I turned 17 is when I got that CD as a birthday present. I think I told my dad, I told my mom or my dad. My mom would just usually give me some money and stuff like that. My dad, I think begrudgingly, I could tell him some of the specific stuff, but he liked just kind of getting me whatever it was that he wanted to get me at that time. Hey, what's up, Canaanites? Midnight meetings? Hey, that sounds like a naughty type thing. That's kind of cool. Hell yeah. Yeah. That's one of my new hobbies is making fake adult movie titles. See you, Miss Taurus Love. Good to see you. I think 99% of this ceasefire will not last long. Yeah. 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 She faxed over the wrong title loan and he got naughty. Yeah. His giant Jeep got naughty with her. Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah, brother. If I let you go. Cause I got your picture, I'm coming with you. Dear Maria, count me in. There's a story at the bottom of this bottle, and I'm the pen. Do, 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 do. Mm-hmm. Send him to Dagestan. What are we going to do in Dagestan? Join one of those YouTube wrestling camps? The Dagestanis? Heck no. Those pushovers, those guys won't take their gloves off. What do you think? Do a Granby roll. Do a Granby roll. Do a Granby roll. You gotta be good at control locking your arm right about here, guys. Get that shoulder down. Yeah, for some reason. For some reason, right? Hell yeah, brother. Some guys going up on you, and you got to be able to wiggle here, wiggle here, wiggle here, wiggle here. You got to be able to create that whole tension. But what you really want is your whole back, right? You really want your whole back, but you got to be informed, right? A bunch of these Muslim wrestler type fellers, they're really into their faith. They're also really into their studies. These guys are academics, scholars, all types of things, right? And so, smart guys. It takes for a lot of us, it takes a stroke of genius in order to be able to do what we do. Wrestlers. Yeah, no, I wouldn't mess with those Dagestani guys. Those guys are really tough. Alex Pereira or John Jones? Yeah, Alex. Alex has a really long frame. He made really long lines, right? He's a very masculine fighter, but he's also, I think he's one of the guys that manages his training well around the year. John Jones did too, right? John Jones obviously is a UFC legend. I don't follow UFC all that closely, but yeah. Yeah. And so, guys like Alex Pereira are just really hard to catch up to if he's got an athletic edge on you, because he's at least going to stay there, right? You would imagine, unless, whatever. So, yeah, he's a professional. You shouldn't believe that he's going to stop training or something. Guys like Paddy Pimblett, who's maybe just, I don't know, whatever, always thinking about fighting. If he's getting big, he's still thinking about fighting. Very different type fighter. So, I don't know. I don't know enough about either of those guys. Hey, y'all played the game Crimson Desert? I haven't played that yet. Gonna be the game of the year, best game ever. I haven't played that one. I don't really play games. I have a Chromebook. I should. I loved Steam. I had Steam and PC gaming in high school. That was kind of cool. Not everybody had PC games back then. I used to play Counter-Strike. Yeah, Counter-Strike was cool because I could play online, and so I think that helped me prepare myself for like Halo, which that used to sound like a really dweeb, nerdy thing to say. You might say I wasted a bunch of time, but yeah, I'd have some internet cred for my old Halo 3 accolades and the attitude I carried with me while playing that game. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. The game of not losing games, right? That was the game in the ranked lobbies back in the day. If you drop down your rank, you could just play social a little bit in the ranked playlist, have a little bit of fun, talk with your team, talk some crap, whatever. But up on the higher ranks, there are a lot of players who didn't want to lose any games. They wanted to rank up, they wanted the experience points and stuff like that. So, you know, you should get a good PC and start playing games, escape from reality, trust me. Yeah, that sounds good actually. Yeah, that sounds good. I think when I get monetized, I was thinking about getting like or like if I can get a job or something, getting a mini PC or something like that. Yeah, mini PC or something like that. And I think the best, the best use of like a cheap editing computer would be cool. Who knows? Maybe I could start doing some small edits for friends and stuff, people on my side of the internet, at least like pitching in, doing small stuff like that. And yeah, if I don't have a ton of content, but maybe I could also clip lives or start doing like some live streams and clip some like arguments, debates I have with you guys or other channel subscribers, whoever likes doing that kind of stuff. But I'm not in a huge rush. There's already a lot of, political discourse streamers, geopolitical commentators. Francis Fukuyama's been out there a bunch. So there's all these people you can go watch and learn from them. Go watch and learn from them. Enjoy your time while you're there. Guys like me who have the sniffles every time we stream, I don't know what I'm going to be able to contribute to the conversation, but yeah, I don't want to do it selfishly. I want to have a big impact, but I don't want to do it selfishly. And I know that if I buy a PC and I'm not ready to have one yet, for me at that point, that would be massive commitment, right? I don't even know if I'm gonna have a channel that long, to be honest, but whatever. Whatever. Somewhere between the lines, huh? That's cool. Let me go peep that. Atlas Fallen. Dun dun dun. Dun 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 dun. Oh, that looks cool. It looks very cinematic. Hell yeah. Yeah, it looks like some Mega Beast style like bosses and stuff. With like full map movement and stuff like that. That's really cool. I'm always surprised, and it's cool to see like the design and balance of those types of games. That stuff's really cool. Yeah. It seems like a lot of these games are getting rushed out really fast. I was whatever Sasha Grey was playing this like Castle Crash style, like King's Guard style game. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was this one, but I was watching her gaming stream yesterday, and that was really cool. Yeah, I like her channel. She seems like a cool person or whatever. But like yeah, whatever. But like um yeah, 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 yeah. So but yeah, they put out games so fast because when your game takes off on stream, you can make DLC content for the next like 2 years. Freaking love Halo. Hell yeah, brother. Yeah, Infinite was cool. Reach, Halo 4, Halo 5, those were all cool games. Those were all cool games. Yeah. Yeah. I think those like multiplayer games that are successful online, they lie and say it's like about catching a couple seconds of action. I think the reality of it is that, it's not like your interaction with other players, but it's just the fact that, it's not even like 5 seconds of action. It's like you have, what would I say? You have like, six, you have like 6 or 7 ways to get shots into other players, right? For those FPS style games, that's my opinion. And so when you think about like 6 or 7 shots, and then you have 1 or 2 power weapon plays that you just have to know, right? You have to know how to sort of rush top mid. You have to know how to control power weapon spawns. And so, that was like the millennial kit for, the starter kit for having a high elo, for being a 50 in Halo was like the big thing back then. Is that you knew how to play with like, if you were on an incline, you knew how to play all the inclines in the game. You knew how to get to cover from those. And, without getting to cover, you also just knew how to inflict more damage on enemy players and ultimately clear the map of them, right? Get them out of here. Get him out of here, bro. Hegseth thinks that this is the end times. He's a crusader tattoo. Stop evangelical nationalist now. Cool. I'm going to replace that pinned comment. I think you will be successful. 45 this year. Cool. Guess you're younger than me. Remember, do something you really like and enjoy. You love talking. Do something involving talking to people. You are good at talking. Handsome looking. Thank you. I appreciate it. That's very cool. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. It's interesting. I think like for me as a politics streamer, like at least on YouTube, it is like the politics space is what holds your hand, right? The politics space is what holds your hand while you're going through different stream topics. You're building audiences, you're putting out shorts every day or every few days, right? A few times a week. For people that are on YouTube, those are huge for things like watch time and stuff like that. Yeah. And so, whatever. It's just it's one of those absurdities, I think, is that, when you're talking about when you're talking about that sort of maybe top level wisdom or something like that, and not just being able to engage like Trump's tweets, right? Trump's tweets, no one cares. The guy was crazy and violent and a murderer before he took office. So you're reading what a lunatic talks about. You're talking about someone who has so much brain damage from the things that he committed and did that he's blamed for that he couldn't even get over himself. Shouldn't have run for president then. Too bad. Not here. Not in this land. Very sad. Wish I could support the guy. No way to do that, right? It's your choice, mom. It's you, mom and dad. This guy's a nut job. He can't even shut up. And so those big lessons, I think those big lessons is that like, yeah, your habit, the big thing you go do, right? It's not the big thing you go do, but it is, and it's not even the result of that thing. It is, it's all of it, right? It's all of it. Yeah, it's getting to see other people being successful. How does someone have fulfillment if you don't get to see other people being successful? Right? That's, and so you get yelled at, right? This is the crazy thing, I think, in politics is people like Kamala got yelled at for wanting to see other people being successful. I don't know. What do you want to say, right? It's like, basically all these guys have to, go talk to their fucking psychologists after they do a press release. But this doesn't make sense because then why is a 28-year-old like Carolyn Levitt, why is she the press secretary, right? This isn't patriarchal to just say that this person is a fucking idiot. Like she is incredibly stupid. And so it's not that she's disrespecting the White House, it's that every time she opens her mouth, someone dies, right? This is what Donald Trump said that we should be like. No, that's stupid. It's very stupid. Kamala sucks. I don't think so. I think Kamala is a very knowledgeable person. I think she's a great leader too. Yeah, and I think even her being maybe half brain on, not doing running, nothing like that. I think she's still a great leader. She's still someone that you want. You're not going to waste time if she puts out a 30-second message that she just wanted to put out. Didn't even have to be that productive or something. Go watch Kamala, right? For 30 seconds. If you're into politics, I don't know. Kamala's kind of dope. Kamala's kind of dope, yo. Dope. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Dirty South. If I let you down. Maybe I'll do Disney streams. I can start doing character monologues. I'll get the AI software and I'll get better at my own voiceovers so it sounds like a person. Or I'll just get really good at the script writing because this is my voiceover voice. I don't have any other ones. Whoa. That's a true story. With my daughter, yeah, I wanted funny voices to read her books, but I didn't do it that often. Um, so I got a little better at just making funny sounds, practicing the morphs. This is cool. If any of you guys have kids, one of the sort of tricks that I use to just get my like very young daughter comfortable with language was, like, I've got, there's this book here, the dad book, but if it says you love to play, it says you love to play here. I would go, you love to play, you love to play, blah, 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 you love to play, And so like that little stuff, it's not like don't be tiger parent, but it's like, yeah, whatever, you get to have a little bit of fun, doing whatever it is, dad to the bone, that kind of stuff. You never get it again, right? So, whatever. NASA fakes everything. Hey, Spartacus, Freedomist. Yeah, the Artemis 2 launch was cool. I suppose that space capsule is going to be back to Earth soon. Pretty soon, I believe. And your inner serenity. The rest is just an illusion. Yeah, that's cool. I would generally agree with that. I haven't played that one yet, but I switched to PC. Oh, we got J Money on PC. Hey guys, we should get J Money some cash apps to get him a nice 4K camera. See, I don't want to see City J. I want to see J Money. I want to see Internet YouTube J Money 86. I don't want any of the in betweens with J Money. And get him a nice 4K camera for that PC he's got. We can get some just simple 40-minute monologues. Just plug them in. Maybe we'll get him the Alex Ramazzi editing suite that automatically cuts time out. NASA's a fraud that deceived you. Hey, I'm sorry to hear that, bro. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, scientific infrastructure has been part of the United States for a long time. Yeah, if you just picture, there's lots of different places in the U.S. where you train, kids go to school to learn science, right? There's science academies. And just in public schools too, right? If you have college credits and stuff for calculus, or whatever, you can take an AI coding boot camp or something, right? These are all tools, and both tools and systems, right, that people will use in college. And so it's an awesome responsibility. It's also an awesome responsibility because like the work that a team of 5 people, 6 people do, right? You give it to the lawyers after this, and after you give it to the lawyers, it can have a global impact actually, So it's an awesome responsibility. I don't think NASA is a fraud. I'm not that deep into conspiracy theories. I think if anything, the biggest conspiracy is the suppression of information about climate science, about climate change. And a lot of it is suppression of the fact that, yeah, you can not do that much and make a huge impact on this. Right? Sometimes it really looks like people are out for money, out for reducing risk. These are all things I think people are very prone to go do. If you see this massive threat incoming, it's like, okay, cool. Yeah, I know that that's there. I don't know exactly how to describe it or own it or whatever it is, but yeah. It's like rubbing your head in the dirt a little bit, like, did you want it to be something else? I don't know. Did you want it to be something else? Stupid. Stupid. Very dumb. Excited NASA sending people to moon. Imagine in our lifetime, China and the US working together on moon and Mars. Moon and Mars. Cool. Hell yeah. Bless those astronauts. They must succeed. Yeah. Success is the outcome and product. It's nothing else. I'm just going to be honest. I keep imagining someone that I know will come into the live stream, but I don't know people in real life anymore. Very sad, huh? It's very sad. One of those very sad things. Isn't it? Isn't it? If you're like me, if you're actually neurodivergent and probably actually a bit of a psychopath, what the fuck does it matter? Holy fuck. You guys want to see some big shit? Holy fucking shit. Holy mongrel. See, and when I start swearing, that's not going to get me monetized, actually. It's not going to get me monetized anymore. Sidetrack. What's your favorite meal? I want to try new recipes and love asking random strangers. Well, tonight I made vegan refried beans with a no beef beef stock. That was really good. Very savory. My teeth almost hurt, right? I can feel like this like nerve stress in my teeth from having beef flavor, which I haven't had in a while, right? That's how sensitive, whole food diets and stuff can get. And so I made these beef refried beans, vegan style, and then put them on some cheesy tater tots. It was really good, right? It was tasty, easy, fast, pretty cheap meal. My favorite meal to cook, probably fresh bread, fresh Italian bread or focaccia, with like sliced tomatoes and maybe one or two grilled vegan sausages or something like very cold, bright, natural food. High quality, natural, local food is like the best in my opinion. But yeah, it could be anything. My mom still cooks for me sometimes, and so when she when I get to like do a casserole or something like that, that's still like really good too. It's delicious actually. Right, this big ass. This is like, it's a giant fucking tray of food, right? It's crazy, and so it's this like, because I've got a lot of control. I can make like rice. I can very easily make rice dishes. And if you just imagine, like going from Whole Foods to having the choice to eat like a whole casserole in one night, it's like, holy wow, that is so good. We have like completely transformed our perception of like dieting and food when you do that just like once every 2 weeks instead of every night. I used to weigh 230 pounds, if you don't believe it. 230 pounds. I was huge. I was super huge at that time, and so I've lost a bunch of weight, so I'm kind of aware, conscious of some of that stuff. Life is an experience. I'm sorry, dude. Hey, I'm sorry about that, man. Total hell. Now I am retired and have a good wife and 2 beautiful kids. Cool. Well, I hope you're happy. I really hope you're happy, and I hope I hope the good stuff grows. I hope that there's no more no cruel jokes of life. I mentioned this on a stream earlier. J Money might appreciate this. I brought up the topic that, yeah, I'm a Buddhist atheist, but hey, sometimes it feels like God doesn't love me, right? Sometimes it feels like God's love just isn't there. And I know that, right? I don't believe in a God that supervenes and interacts in people's lives. But it's that feeling of isolation where it's like, well, even the big truths of nature or the truths our own brains produce or the truth of God, these things are all missing and gone too. That's crazy. It's crazy. Hey, good job. Good job, first person Victoria. That's awesome. I do 18/6 fasting, 1 day, 24-hour water fast. What the Perry Radwa? Are you an atheist? Yeah, I'm a Buddhist atheist. Yeah. Buddhist atheist. I like theology and stuff like that. I like apologetics, Dawa, counter apologetics. All that stuff's very interesting too. All that stuff's really interesting. Yeah, it's very cool. It's very cool, I guess. I don't know. Who knows? It's kind of the same thing, kind of not, whatever. You know, very taxing though, right? This is what the internet, YouTube does to people. Is it those fasting diets are like really great, but also, streaming takes a lot of brain power. You're supposed to stream, you're supposed to comment and talk to people from your brain, right? Not down like your neck and your like spinal cord and stuff like that. So whatever, whatever. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Dirty South. Da, 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 da. I believe God works in ways that we can't see while incarnated. Life is meant to be experienced, not explained, which is why we don't get certain answers until we go. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, cool. Thank you. I appreciate the kind words and wishes. Yeah, those are all really good, right? Yeah, really good. Really good. I'm trying to map out my life and figure out what I can do next. I don't mean to like spill my feelings online, right? I don't want to turn this into like a monologue, right? It's stupid when people clip, I understand. I think it's great to feel connected and stuff, but I don't know. I've seen enough people who have turned their lives around and end up back in the same stuff that it's like I don't really celebrate the moment that people have together as much as, whatever. You don't believe in any God? Cool. So, like, if I were to, like, let's just say I play devil's advocate and push you a little bit, do you believe in, like, a description of nature, however you might say it, but do you believe in nature or science, just society and things around you? Like, what do you believe in? Chance favors the prepared mind. Hey, Sean, great post, great comment. Chance favors the prepared mind. So this is different than like a Bayesian inference or like a probability. This seems like an accessible form of chance that I bump into or something like this, versus saying I've calculated, yeah, like I know the chance that a dart hits the dartboard or a die rolls a 4, 5, 6 or something. Chance favors the prepared mind in this sense. To me, seems like that if we're chasing one or two or three different outcomes, this is what we mean by chance typically. God is in the eye of the beholder. Cool. That's very our life experience will dictate our reality and who we are. God is in the eye of the beholder. God is in the eye of the beholder. Yeah, guys, what do we think of this? God is in the eye of the beholder. Huh. Yeah. To me, my initial instinct is, well, this is favoring like a phenomenology sort of sense of mind or something like this. A phenomenal sense of mind. Right. But I understand that there is a deeper point there that um, I obviously I can't have your point of view. That's maybe the point of your point of view. But yeah, growing up Catholic, the part that was always took precedence and truly came back up was that Jesus served people, and so you find God in the places that people should believe God exists. But hey, while you're there, it's the work, isn't it? Yeah. Did you want it to be something else, buddy? And so maybe that's kind of a narrowing view. But yeah, who knows? I probably have trauma and PTSD, so I don't believe 99% of stuff people say about God. And I don't even want to have the conversation 99% of the time, just to be totally honest and authentic with, hopefully that's authentic, but I don't know, it could be psychobabble too, that I'm not even intending on. I believe in something higher, but not in a religious way. I believe in the journey. Be born, get old, get sick, leaving. Cool. Oh, wow. What an interesting perspective. The journey of touching people and being touched. Yeah, that's very fascinating, of course. Um, that's very cool. That's very cool. Where does this come from? Do I have to ask if it comes from somewhere or just is somewhere or something? Dirty South. Bum, 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 bum. The journey of touching people and being touched. Hell yeah, brother. Dirty South. Done. Do, 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 do. Do do do. Um, hey, what's up, pretty boy X? Good to see you again. Yeah, hopefully, in general, bodily fluids are healthy and things like this. Yeah, good to see you. We're just hanging out. We're doing some friend conversation and stuff like that. So that's kind of cool. It's nice to see you wherever you're writing from and all that. I appreciate the. I don't know if you're scrolling shorts or subscribed, but it's good to see. It's obviously great to see you. Might be responsible for the. You're in LA. Cool. Shout out LA. Yeah, I was just talking earlier in the stream. It used to be very casual and normal. Drive up to California. Um, cool. LA is a cool city. Kind of goofy place, but it's a cool city for sure. Cool. Cool. I'm gonna I'm gonna tag you for just a minute here, good friend. But yeah, thank you. Every night they're cool. Yeah, every night. Last time I went up to, was it like Santa Monica area was the last. Not all the way up yet. I've been to Santa Barbara. Last time was Santa Monica. Is very cool, diverse little city, right? Lots of different kind of stuff to do and stuff there. I flew into Burbank one time. Yeah, I was meeting with. This was for work when I was still doing like tech jobs. This was cool. I got to fly in to meet an animation studio that they worked with, like a lot of the big subcontractors, and had contracts with some of the big teams like Pixar and stuff like that. But yeah, that was cool. So I flew into Burbank, California, which is basically Hollywood stuff in Burbank. A lot of that kind of stuff, and yeah, like the shops and stuff. So I got to we took these guys out to this very fancy restaurant, and I ate a bunch of dirty food and had some drinks with them and stuff. It was very cool. Yeah, you okay with that, brother? You okay with it? You understand it? You okay with it? Yeah, to me, I think that's a very unfair sort of approach. Is my only critical feedback of this, right? I'm not trying to be too woke or anything, but if you ask Donald Trump, you good with what you're doing? Do you understand it? It's like, well, that's a huge scope because Donald Trump is, in my view, negatively impacting the entire world. He's impacting the entire world in an absolute sense. I think he's negatively impacting it for sure. And kind of flip those around and say, well, do you understand what you're attempting to do first, right? In the US, some people think this is a poverty mindset. But ultimately, if you're successful and incredibly wealthy, incredibly rich, you want to start with understanding before you go decide from a million options instead of just getting started with something because you got a good grasp of it, and then you understand things later, and then you can be more deliberate. Right, so that's a very success-oriented mindset. But if you look at, like, here's an example, is if I asked you, I say, go train for a 500-pound deadlift. Everyone in chat, I don't care how old you are. I don't care your gender. I don't care where you live. Go train for a 500-pound deadlift. What decision do you actually make first to go do that? Because you might say, I don't understand how to do that. Or you might say, I don't know how to execute my first steps in my training plan. Cool, that seems to narrow it, but it doesn't really, right? What do you actually go decide to go do? What action do you take? What decision do you make? So it's kind of it's a cool idea. Chance is a very old idea. It goes in the sense you're using it goes back to the Italian city states. It goes back to the feudal lords. Where you had lords controlling the currency, controlling the land, right? You had these massive sort of shifts into the Catholic Church and away from it. Chance was so important. It's being prepared in mind and body, right? You have to have all this stuff with you or you won't be successful. So I think there's a lot of wisdom there. I'm a scaredy pants about a lot of this stuff, you know? Cool. Oh, cool. Yeah. How so that's interesting. I don't want to like bug you, but I'm always interested with how much Confucianism was impacted by Tao and Buddhism and just like statism too, right? Because obviously these are really old ideas, and obviously like China has there's like Chinese exceptionalism a little bit in terms of with actual China, right? I don't know where, not asking, but like with actual China, uh, right? Very interesting history from the 20th century onward. There, everybody goes. And so it's just always interesting how Christianity's changed immensely and enormously. Um, basically everything. The person doing Christianity's changed. Um, it's a kind of philosophy. It's a kind of philosophy. Okay, so there you go. There you go. Cool. So I mean, I imagine that. So you can have people way different spread out who claim to be part of Confucianism, and then yeah, if I'm Slavoj Zizek or something, I say, well, in the political sense, because it's my politics YouTube channel, but I'd say yeah. So Confucianism actually probably does support part of the Chinese identity and stuff like this, but it's in ways that maybe you don't expect right away, or it takes some time to understand. It could be anything. It could be anything. And yeah, so that's kind of cool. That's cool. But and then the losing the religious notion to me is also saying, well, it's not that psychologically. It's just that from an epistemology standpoint or an ethical framework, in the sense that Christian nationalism produces maybe materialism, right? This fake form of materialism. But Confucianism also shouldn't have an excuse about like, okay, if there's maybe non-normative aspects of Chinese culture, you can't just say, well, this is our philosophical history that's supporting this, right? No, there's something there. But in the U.S. context, it's like, okay, well, yeah, we get it. You're Christian, you know. Uh, there's a lot of Christians here, um, but this and it historically has been used as an excuse for the bad things when we need to go do them, right? And I don't think that's funny at all, right? To me, my opinion is like, yeah, if your religion is an excuse for just war, which just doesn't exist, there's never just a war and it's never a just war. Um, then in my opinion, yeah, but guys like Donald Trump, who themselves maybe, who knows, maybe he's Baha'i. He would strike me as a Baha'i guy. Everybody's got something to offer, so you buy the 800-page book instead because you can flip through it and you're gonna have the best yogi of all the yogis. But yeah, Donald Trump's a Christian, and so but he doesn't believe this. He believes Christianity is part of American exceptionalism. It's neoconservatism, basically. I'm scrolling down a little bit, not that far. Ow. Yeah. Thanks again for all the nice comments, guys. If you're still here, if you're watching, thank you so much. I hope you're enjoying the stream. If you don't mind double tapping like the stream or whatever, whatever. It's obviously your phone or your tablet, so I don't get to tell you what to do. But thanks for joining me on YouTube, right? I love these streams, love talking to everybody. It's cool to read what you guys are reading without being too creepy into the comments, and yeah, having some discussion and stuff too. 13 of the founding fathers were Freemasons. 40 of the generals were Masons. They were Gnostics. Get out of here with that Gnosticism stuff. Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. Yeah, you had to be, I think, back then, right? Because there was not inferential and empirical knowledge. That's maybe the dawn of pragmatism is by the time, who knows? Yeah, maybe this is a very condescending story for the United States. I love this stuff so much, so much. Yeah, you got 13 founding fathers. When you got 50 of them, what are you gonna go do, boy? What are you gonna go do when you got 50 founding fathers? Yeah, but walk that out. It's by the time the Civil War ended, um, you were within 1 or 2 decades of having the entire continent connected by rail line. This also meant that you had banking connecting the entire country. Um, and so it's just crazy because while you had mechanical engineers and stuff, the A&M universities were agricultural and like machining, engineering, whatever, ag tech colleges. That's still right. You can go back and read old textbooks and old thinkers from the 19th century and be surprised at how much people knew. But you could also be surprised at how much was missing or incomplete, right, versus wrong. So it's very interesting to think of the role of Gnosticism versus agnosticism, mysticism versus religion, and how a place like the United States maybe formed itself. And when we think of something about grounding justice in the United States and defining the art of the possible, very esoterica, it's very cool. It's a very cool question. Yeah, it's very interesting. Interesting. The core of Confucianism. Cool, guys. If you're in chat and you want to check out Sleepy Watcher, he's giving a little overview of Confucianism. So that's awesome. It's very cool. Very cool thing to do on YouTube. On YouTube, right? The YouTube native audience. If you guys want to check this info out, the core of Confucianism is kindness toward the world and people. There's the big me, the little me, big country, society, family, etc. They always come first. They always come first during sacrifice. Self is little. Okay, cool. 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 Yeah, interesting. Yeah, that looks like it's worth a little more research. I think of the fact that I think of the idea that kindness towards the world, just the sense about it, the person who, not like the virtue, but because there isn't a virtue, but like maybe the sense of going out and doing that or something is like, yeah, it's not like a middle way, but it is in some sense, it's almost asking like, to me, I think of just how the world is and then how a person is in the world, kind of. I don't know, maybe I'm putting too much into it, but yeah, it's really difficult. I should go back and read that stuff. I had a little Dao book. I know it's different, right? Because the Dao is like this process that people, right, are in the center of this process, right? So it's not like mind is this special thing, but whatever. And so yeah, so you can picture just doing this, right? Doing this in Taoism is like, okay, cool. You guys saw this. I'm doing this. Okay, so cool, right? That's part of the process. It may not really be, but there's some factor of me interacting in the world. But this is cool because it seems like it doesn't prioritize like as much of the perennial knowledge, maybe necessarily. There's like this action type thing, and it's like, okay, well, you have this other side too, and so when do you learn it? That's kind of what I'm like ripping out of that, but it's very cool. Hey, I'm sorry, Demo Rock Cepha. I hope you're good. I tried so hard and got so far. Yeah, rest in peace, Chester Bennington. Great musician. Hopefully you enjoy the stream here today. And if you like politics and just talking stuff, you can kind of see what people are talking about. Lots of good comments if you want to go read and pick and choose something good, interesting stuff today. I was going to call you Bud, but I wouldn't do that, right? Interesting stuff today here on Ducks Y. And so, yeah, hopefully you're good and happy. Yeah. I like Chester Bennington. Yeah, I grew up in the pop punk era, so I listened to a lot of emo rock, a lot of punk rock. AC/DC was big when I was growing up too. Those very dirty, simple guitar riffs that people could learn and play and stuff like that. That's kind of stuff I like doing. Yeah, that's interesting. That's a good reminder. I think having that the religious notion, something I always forget to do, right? Because religion is it's sort of unique. It's a unique way of seeing the world in these almost like universalist terms and things like this, right? Is Christianity as a universal, sort of like this almost universalist system, not being too technical, but because I think I have this bias to make things compatible with science. So when I see Taoism, I think, oh, okay, cool. Well, yeah, there's if something is teleological, it's still this nature being this way, right? It's nature. It is still nature being this way, and so very different, I think. Very different this way, you know. I tried so far and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. Oh, why'd you have to go and make things so complicated? See the way you're acting like you're somebody else gets me frustrated. You guys know Vance Joy? Do 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 do. I decided to leave the job and head to New York City. Oh, while my friends are turning green. Oh, it comes on, baby, running down to the riptide, taken away from the dark side. I wanna be your left-hand man. And I love you when you're singing a sad song. I got a lump in my throat 'cause you're gonna sing the words wrong. Do 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 do. On top of spaghetti. Oh wow. Hey, Google AI is getting pretty good, or I'm a conspiracy theorist now. Ain't that something? Reza Pavlovi. Hey, I seen that guy done talk. Yeah. Who knows? Definitely a king. Real psychopath, too. He's got both of them down. No offense. So, okay, if we were to have this conversation, maybe even have this conversation involving Iran, what does it sound or look like? My friend Shitting Bear said, I don't know why I said Shitting Bear. I get distracted easily. My friend said, yeah, Reza Pahlavi's been ardent about a new Palestinian constitution. Pahlavi. Um, Irrespective of the process, it sounded and felt like. And so I understand this, but we don't believe in exception states in the United States, right? There isn't a critical narrative into liberalism as far as I am concerned. Um, if we're speaking as men do, if we were speaking as men, one and all, come one and all. Um, yeah, I would start by saying, what the fuck are you talking about, Running Bear? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Yeah, get those guys in a room. This is what I would do if I ran the zoo. If I ran the zoo like that Dr. Seuss book, I'd hire like 40 political scientists and say, okay, guys, hash this out, right? Why don't you guys prepare a couple reports on the economic, militaristic, energy, and diplomatics and impacts on international law and all types of shipping policy or something. I don't give a fuck. right? I truly don't care. And I would give this to them and say, yeah, I want you guys to work for 4 months on this for me to go talk to Iran, and I'm going to tell them that this is what we're doing here too. And quite frankly, I want it on one page, and I don't really care what it is. Right? Don't think about it. Just literally, who knows? Maybe they'll fly one of you guys out to like the ski resort in Iran or something like that. You guys can go skiing there too, and tell me what I don't know. Liberals, cool. Yeah. My critique of liberalism is the reduction to do whatever you want whenever you want to. Do whatever you want whenever you want to. My brother Tristan Tate says, yeah, but still, is there a better system? I don't know. I don't think so. All you have to do for liberalism to work is be nice and not be that greedy, and then it works pretty well. As it turns out, it's a big ask. Just wait until these psychopaths get control of the kingdom. The serfdom takes over. It's insane. I think the problem is trust once broken, it's hard to achieve. Trust was earned, not given. Yeah, cool. Yeah. Yeah, that would make sense, right? That makes sense. Hey, sounds about right there, bud. Sounds about right there, bud. Sounds about right there, bud. Yeah. It's called the low man on the totem pole syndrome, someone's saying. I don't believe that's true. There's a lot there. There's a lot there. You just got to get it up there. Guess what? You're going to find out you're an idiot. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. I think in geopolitics. Oh no, that's just one of my the short. It's just what's in my shorts feed. I thought I looked pretty good there too, so I screenshotted it. Made me feel good about myself. Um. Yeah. Okay. In politics. In politics. Yeah, if you can imagine the most painful positions that a person can get in politics, it's like you plant your knee down and really, you jam in there. You really get in there, right? Just a little bit, right? You don't have to do that much, but you really jam it in there. And so you get it twisting, going forward, falling down, and twisting out, right? That's how you tear your ligaments. And so you wonder when you're working in a broken system, right? This isn't like a biodesign problem, but it's also not that, right? It's not that. Not really. And so you're missing a big part of the whole. I am missing a big part of the whole personally, right? We don't have a conversation. We're not in a commune with nature, when we're wrapping around and going down and building depth in our systems of government and our political process. And we say, well, this is the thing we're stewarding. We're taking care of this, right? Very deeply, we're taking care of this. So as you're going down and earning that level of depth, I personally start realizing that, well, if we do have disenfranchisement, if there's exploitation, we're impinging on people's political rights and liberties, you don't have those voices that are represented. Not really, not in that process, not in the design process. So that's cool. That's really neat. No, she's not my lady. I don't talk about my personal life on YouTube. But yeah, good question. Jean Ver, good to see you. Good to see you again. Yeah. Do you know who my lady would be? Ow. I wanna lay down some pork chops on the lady who wrote Harry Potter. That's what poverty does to a man. You can walk through Barnes and Noble and you're not wondering what I'm going to learn, but instead you're wondering, yeah, I wonder if she's single, whoever wrote it. Yeah. I think of the stallion I'd ride in on. Yeah. Excuse me, ma'am, miss, if you don't mind, can we get another order of those little garlic knots over on this table here? Get the lady another table. You're drinking it's a Pinot Gris. Pinot Gris, please. Yep. I like French toast. I like French toast too. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's disgusting. You guys want to see how disgusting my neck is? How blown up it is? David Larson. What's up, David Larson? Great to see you. See you. I like French ladies. I like everyone. I like everyone. I like everyone, yeah. Cool. Yeah. What is it? There's pansexual and there's asexual. There's polyamorous, bisexual monogamy. There's singleness. There's being a sleuth. These are all things people can choose to be or perform or act or as, or to not. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. My neck and my feet are my best attributes. Great feet. I got great feet. They're not that strong, but I got great feet and a great neck. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. You know, it seems unjust to have a society where people run it out in the United States and are done doing it. It also seems deeply unjust to hyper focus on this problem when it produces more of the same problems for other people. It seems even more unjust to start at the starting point when you're not including oceanic health, you're not including ecological considerations leading into a form of natural appreciation and recognitions. Yeah. So that's something I could probably work on. It's probably something I could work on a little bit more, you know, probably should, you know, so why not? Why not? Heck. Another 4 years. You did chicks? Dude, when I was a busser in high school, I was turning down all these hot chicks. I was turning down all these hot chicks. You know what a pretty name is? Yeah, there was this chick named Taylor that I worked with. She was like the hot chick at the high school. It was so weird because I got this job as a busser and I was like, whoa, dude, that's the hot chick at the high school. I was not the hot guy at the high school. I was a nerd. Are you looking for a purpose? I think I already have a purpose, but I am looking for one too. Like Jordan Peterson, maybe I just need to go and clean my room. Kind of sounds more like Rick and Morty. Hey, Rick. Not really, but kind of close. Needs need, love to. Nope, nerds. A purpose. When I think of a purpose, I think in terms of reshaping sort of the things on the edge, right? That to me that's pretty far away from foundational. But it is also, I think, what people go and do. And so for me, I think situating a very normal life where like it's like cool, if I had a 9 to 5 job, I think I would be happy. if I could work out, I think I could be happy. And if I could do these things and still feel like I'm connected or supported in my community, I think I would be happy. Those would be the things that I would aspire toward being and doing in the first place. In the first place, I would aspire towards being and doing all those things. Political science and a little philosophy, a little business. I had 3 days of business classes. My brain didn't want to learn calculus to learn how to optimize functions. And then I didn't want to do accounting at all. So I wasn't really a business major. So I quit. I am in Phoenix, Arizona. Phoenix, Arizona. Yeah. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona right now. Yeah. I'm in Phoenix. Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah, Tucson's a cool city. Lots of people do know and don't know about Tucson. There's like foothills, hiking. There's actually a rainforest in Arizona south of Tucson, which is a very beautiful place, right? Very beautiful place. You know, it's amazing in Arizona, these ecologies that sprout up, they're huge, they're massive, right? When you think of even 40 square miles or something that is just unique, and that's kind of how the desert is. That's how Arizona is 300 miles of just the same, and then you'll have 40 miles of rainforest or something. And then but the unique things to me about nature is the silenceness and the emptiness of these places. You know, like not Lacan, but Slavoj Zizek might say that, like, well, the almost punctuated points of what you see, here, feel, touch in these places rises above everything else. But that can also be true with this almost like basal state where there's like nothing there or something like this. Yeah. And so there are these mechanistic natural circumstances, is my opinion of them. But yeah. And so what that does for me is just appreciating that when I go out, I'm approaching topics in a different sense is like really the main thing, approaching like these ecologies, like a hike is different in Phoenix than it is in Tucson. Yeah. Very cool. I'm working on burying my desire to just go hiking and running every day so I can go back and get a job. Debt. Yep. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Debt's also not fundamental, right? Debt is a constructed thing after debt is constructed based on capital, which is constructed based on primary production. So, which is, it's intermixed with a jurisprudence at the bottom of it, I think. Meaning you have to have a theory of the law, and you also have to have a theory of customs and political process for that. And also the other side, just if I'm commenting on stuff like that, yeah. And so it's interesting because for some people, debt maybe is, it's a very fascinating topic, is that, debt is exceptional and that it seems to override American exceptionalism. Yeah. And the other side, right, because that's kind of stupid. But yeah, symbolically, right, you look at something small like the labels on a can at a grocery store, and they have a name brand, or they say organic, or they say the name of the grocer that it comes from. right? And so debt comes from here, right? Because you have the whole value chain of a society is in the legumes aisle, right? It's next to lentils, it's next to imports, it's next to the locally produced products, and it's sold to a consumer from a banking system, right, in one place, right? And this you've got packaging from China or Taiwan or Vietnam or wherever, Cambodia, right? People are your uniforms are from Bangladesh or something, and so everything in liberalism is happening here, but it's because you have a label on a can, right? You have the symbol for the thing in the first place, right? This is American pragmatism and sort of semiotic representation. Yeah. And so it's easier. It's you start seeing that, well, what people talk about and say is one thing, but really what it is like when you get down to it, it's based on these simple circumstances, and these large motions are actually far simpler than you imagine, right? And so maybe my own sense of this is frustration about some of it, right? It's like, okay, well, if this is the thing that's wiggling, then the point is to get the whole thing ripped over, right? It's to keep it in place, but to do it in a way that's more efficient without the inefficiencies and the unethical or apolitical agnostic aspects of it, right? This should be stuff. It's without being overly educational. It should be gnostic, and so central banks are creating the boom bust cycle. Yeah. Hell yeah, brother. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Once banks decide they're going to go do something, they're going to go do it, right? Though that's the other side of stuff too. Right? Internet troll stuff. What's up, TK? You have cocaine sniffles? Heck yeah, brother. Whatever kind of sniffles you want, dude. Hey, we're talking Elon Musk and Epstein files, I think. To all our friends, do, 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 do. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. China is evil as they are at least trying to bring back some of semblance of gold standard. They want currency backed by real commodities. Yeah. Yeah. Who knows? China's got a huge bias in efficiency in production, manufacturing, but I don't see there's not like a cosmic reason why economically it's that way. Um, you know, so whatever. It's just a something a person would notice something like that, right? Um, yeah, I guess it's in the same sense that in the U.S. Um, like, is it transportation and production or something? I don't know, something weird like that, right? Our domestic supply chain and last mile. It's like, yeah, if you guys wanted to invest in last mile, that actually implies a need to know what consumers actually demand, right? Is that like what Zoran Mamdani's talking about? Not really, right? He's probably not really talking about that issue. Anyone still is just as good of a shot as of building a progressive or social democratic platform that's consistent with American values. But How? Why, dude? Both eat shit? Hell yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Everyone can go eat shit. So, yeah. I imagine a new like fair use standard for like Earth's resources. It seems very odd to ship things into a centralized economy. It also seems very odd to ship things in a economy which is inefficient. It's an inefficient economy, right? So yeah, yeah. So that's cool. But then you wonder the system that's actually ends up being produced because of that, right? The system that's produced because of that, and you wonder if that's a stable system or a system in flux or something. That's very cool. That's cool stuff. But who knows? Yeah, I want Peter Thiel's AI systems in my life more often. If you guys are here for more AI systems, social control, conspiracy talk, double tap the like, hail Satan, exit the stream, go like all my shorts, leave a comment, get us up in the algorithm, folks. We're going to go up as high as we can on this one. We're going to go up as high as we can on this one, folks. We're going to prove that there is depth in death. We're going to prove that there is depth in debt. We're going to prove that we are not indebted. We are indeed free because of debt, because of credit, because of secondaries, because of options trading. America's import 98% of pork from China. Yes, bro. Do you guys know this one? Uh, I was going to start selling pork out of this Spanish company as a vegan. I didn't tell them I was a vegan, but they were looking for a digital marketing manager. And I said, hey, I've sent a bunch of emails. I used to do a bunch of this actually. So I told these fellers this. Wouldn't you believe it? You know what they said back? They didn't want to talk to me ever again. That's what they said. They said. I like that. I like that. Owie patowies. Owie patowies. Yeah. You guys gotta learn to spell and smoke and spit with fire. Right? It's all the one thing. When you if your goal is to have 10 toes down, but your toes only land where the smoke goes, then what does that actually achieve? It means that you have granularity and control, and you get the other vectors and dimensions in that you need them to be. So, gang, bitch. So you can eat a pork sandwich. So you can get your McFuck sticks. Pardon my French. So I can scratch on my nuts. Hell yeah, brother. Yeah. Canada's a cool country. Wages are way lower. Um, like in Western standards, but it's just weird because I mean that was very pronounced for me when I worked for a Canadian company. It was a tech company, but wages were way lower. Um, but I believe in Canada, you also have some people who live fairly normal lives with, you know, their sense of having a job and then just having things like healthcare paid for. All right, I'm gonna crash out. I think, guys, this was a lot of fun. We went for 2 hours and 20 minutes. Thank you, everyone who showed up. Yeah, if you guys want to subscribe, catch another stream, drop in and just say hi or what's up. Yeah, it's always good to see you guys. And yeah, this is interesting topics, right? Maybe I can do some thinking on some of this stuff and hopefully have even better conversations about the same stuff. So thank you guys. Yeah, hit like, subscribe. My name's Nathan in real life. I go by Duck or Ducks Y online. This is the Ducks Y channel. And yeah, if you subscribe, you'll also find me in your shorts feed. And so, yeah, stick around and have some fun with this stuff. Hey, thanks, J Money. Appreciate you. Appreciate you, my friend, the J Money person. And yeah, go Cash App J Money that 4K camera, guys, and a decent condenser mic or shotgun mic, shotgun style.